Tips from Trestle is brought to you by eMenu Choice Point of Sale, Wyzox AI, and Benny Keith Foods. Welcome to Tips from Trestle, the Senior Living Food and Hospitality Podcast. This podcast explores the senior living industry with a unique focus on food, hospitality, and the community experience. I'm your host, Aaron Fish. My goal for this podcast: educate, inform, and inspire leaders in senior living. How? By bringing the resident and customer experience to the front of mind in our industry. We should bring the passionate spirit of food and hospitality to everything that we do and everyone we serve each and every day. So what are we waiting for? Let's get to it. On today's episode of Tips from Trestle, I'm speaking with Jocelyn Schrader. Jocelyn is a senior living sales and marketing strategist who specializes in turning occupancy challenges into scalable, repeatable systems for growth. As the founder of JMS Consulting, she draws on nearly 2 decades of experience as an administrator, regional sales leader, and director of client strategy to help communities align operations, CRM, and frontline teams around clear KPIs and accountable processes. In this conversation from the GSLA conference back in October, she speaks with me about her new triad perspective, showing how better communication and smarter activity programming can transform tours, elevate the resident experience, and directly drive move-ins. Thanks for joining me on the podcast, Jocelyn.
Thanks for inviting me.
So we are here at the Georgia Senior Living Association conference, and you are presenting later today, I believe.
Yeah. Your
session is called Leveraging Your Activity Program to Increase Sales. We talk about all of the things that aren't healthcare on the podcast here.
Sure.
I'm excited to get a sneak peek of your session and share it with our listeners. So first thing I want to get your take on is, from your vantage point, what's that secret sauce, if you will, to making your activity calendar irresistible for everybody in the community and getting away from those cookie cutter programming approaches?
Totally. I completely understand. Yeah. I think the biggest thing is having a lot of diversity in what you're doing, a lot of variety, and then making sure that your calendar is full. I mean, sometimes you'll have like every Tuesday is super busy, but then the rest of the week, there is not a lot going on past 2 o'clock. So looking at it from a 10,000 foot view to see, are there things on there that I can invite people to from a marketing perspective? And are my residents happy, or is it the same thing over and over again? So looking at it, take a whole year's worth of calendars and see how much variety really happened in that year. So there's a few different ways to look at it, and all of that will really help to support the sales process.
Do you think there's such a thing as too many activities on a calendar?
I do. I think there has to be quality. I mean, just putting cards in there or resident-led games, things like that don't actually help you when you're looking at a calendar. So if you're putting on there every Saturday, it's just resident-led games, well, that just tells me that there's nobody there on Saturday to do those activities. So, and again, the wording and how you present it on that calendar, it's written. You can't take it back. You can't explain it once that calendar is taken home for those prospects.
Yeah, it's interesting that you talk about this in that frame of sales, because I talk about food and dining that same way. You know, you can't stay in your silo. It's just not going to work.
Right.
And so when you think about that well-designed activity program, how can that really be leveraged when it comes to sales? And what kind of role does it play in that first impression of a community?
Yeah, it's so important. One of the things that I see a lot, and I just actually came back from Oklahoma this week doing some mystery shops. And when I'm trying to book a tour, everyone's so agreeable. Come anytime. We're here. Don't worry. Just come before 4 o'clock. But I can come in the middle of lunch. I could come right after lunch where we know that the dining room doesn't look great. There might not be an activity yet. Residents are in their room. So you need to plan that. And this is Sales 101, option of 2. I would like you to come in at 10 or at 2, because I know I have an activity at 10:30 and I know I have one starting at 2:30. So planning that and really understanding that your activities will help you in that tour and that first impression is huge.
Yeah, I think that communication with all the different department heads on, hey, there is a tour. Hey, what's the best activity? Hey, Mrs. Jones really likes dominoes or what? Like when are you doing that? So I can make sure she tours when that's happening. It's so important for creating that environment or that right feel for the prospect. One of the things you did share with me about your presentation was this triad of sales, activities, and food and beverage directors.
Yeah.
And so from your vantage point, how do you see this collaboration revolutionizing the way communities operate? And what kind of communication strategies are needed to make it really successful?
Sure. I think the original triad was nursing, sales, and the ED, right? Everyone had to be on the same page to make sure we can get residents in the door. But then once you get, somebody in the door to tour, it's the rest of your team that has to be on board and perform at that point.
Right.
So I am a big fan. I know I don't like meetings, but a weekly meeting to start with, and usually the executive director may need to help facilitate that, but with sales and food and beverage and activities, just looking at some of those larger events you may have planned, as well as just the weekly things, making sure that those teams also know that tours are coming in, that sales is important, and that sales is working with them, not against them, because we get in trouble a lot. Feel a little bossy at times. So working together in communication is huge.
Yeah, that you're speaking like my love language right now, because one of the things I always find when I start talking to clients about how are you putting your marketing plan together? How are you helping support your sales program? And the first thing I ask is, when do you sit down and talk about your activity calendar and your quarterly marketing plan and your weekly menus and like how all of those can come together? And I would say almost without a miss, it's not happening.
Correct.
And so I love the fact that you're talking about how important that is and bringing those three people together, because that's, from my vantage point, and I'm maybe biased here, but that's the heartbeat of the community. It's getting the people in, it's keeping the people fed, and it's keeping the people engaged.
Yeah.
And those three are the people that do that so effectively. When families are looking at your takeaway calendar, they're looking at yours, they're looking at the community down the street, they're looking at the one across town. What are some specific elements that people can put on their calendars to really make it stand out from all of the other ones?
Technology continues to drive changes in senior care, and that includes food service. eMenu Choice is an award-winning point-of-service application for managing the dining function in senior living communities. This mobile, touchscreen-enabled software enhances the dining experience for residents while streamlining processes for staff. The flexibility and functionality of eMenu Choice makes it an effective solution for any type of senior living environment, from independent and assisted living to skilled nursing facilities. It works for production kitchens or restaurant-style service with options for per meal or a la carte pricing, and accommodates a variety of payments, including bill to account, meal credits, and credit cards. Created by a senior care provider with more than a century of experience serving older adults, eMenu Choice eliminates communication barriers between staff and residents while enabling person-centered choices and greater resident satisfaction. eMenu Choice, transforming dining for senior living.
Sure. So really the main thing is making sure that it makes sense to someone that's not at the community every day. So tend to assume that only our residents are looking at that calendar. But from a sales perspective, I need that. I need to present the whole activity program to somebody. And sometimes we want to be able to show them and not tell them all the time. Right. So you have this calendar, but if it says music with Jane, what does that mean, right? Every Tuesday, so how do you make that more attractive and make it sound fun and exciting for someone outside of the building? Yeah. And then watch your abbreviations, and just like, you may know what the different abbreviations are. And there are some calendars, I'll have some examples at my session that have a key to know, like, it's a certain room, but sometimes it's cluttered with things that are really community specific. Yeah. And it doesn't make sense to anyone outside. So you want to make sure that is clear, so that when someone's looking at your calendar compared to the next, because we all know they look really similar, that there's something exciting. And I can point out very quickly where, you all are taking maybe every week, not just to the Walmart or the grocery store, but actually going out and doing something fun, having those types of things highlighted on the calendar so they don't get buried in all the day-to-day.
Yeah. I'm curious. I see a lot of activity calendars that have, for lack of a better word, clip art, and they try to dress them up. Is that necessary? Obviously, this is more of like a personal question. I want to understand.
No, I'll say, I was thinking of that last night as I was printing off some examples. So I said, come to the session, bring your calendar, but if not, I've got some samples. I've got samples that have nothing. You would think that I made it myself last night, but it actually came from a community, and others that are well done with some clip art, some design, usually seasonally. I think that's okay. But you got to watch the clutter, right?
Yeah.
So if you're just putting a clip art or a smiley face in every box because you don't have enough things to fill your day, it's obvious. So I think just looking at that, and again, looking at your competitors' calendars, because it's so important. If someone is going to your community and assuming you're going to go to 3 or 4 others, know what your competitors are offering and what their calendar looks like.
Yeah, definitely. So I want to shift gears a little bit. I want to talk about actually putting together an activity or an event. So you talked a lot about filling the calendar with things like resident-led events and stuff like that. When you think about a calendar, how do you take a regular, ordinary event, maybe like a bingo or something like that, and then turn it into a must-attend event, right? Because those are the ones, like you said, are going to help sell. What's that approach look like, and how do you leverage the right people to do that?
Sure. That's, again, where it goes back to the communication. If you don't know what's on that calendar and sitting down with your activities director, then you don't know what you might be able to turn into an event. So having that communication, reviewing the calendar is the first step. And then seeing, is there something on there that marketing can maybe throw a little bit of their dollars towards and make it more exciting? That's where food and beverage comes in. All right, it's supposed to be an ice cream social, but what can we do? Can we make this something better? And can we rename it something, or and have Sundays, or making sure that it's not just wheeling out a cart with ice cream if we want to invite people to that. So I think that's the first thing, is understanding what's on there. And then it doesn't have to be something crazy. It doesn't have to be a huge event, but it's just something that you know that it'll be executed well. And that is the struggle. Do not invite people to your bingo. Your residents will be upset if somebody from the outside takes their prizes.
Yes.
I've got tricks for that.
I do not doubt that at all. So one of the things that I know from experience, having worked in communities, is that residents can be your best salespeople.
Yes.
So when you look at how do I make that part of my process, what's the best way or the most effective way that you've seen to make them the best salespeople, whether it's through a tour in their apartment or ambassador initiatives or anything kind of things like that?
For over a century, Benny Keith has been a trusted leader in the food service industry. As a broadline distributor, we offer an extensive selection of products, delivering to 21 states through 10 distribution centers. We can help you create a thriving culinary culture by pairing quality products with customized solutions that elevate your residents' dining experience. Our team of registered dietitians provide unmatched customer service by modifying menus, selecting recipes, ensuring regulatory compliance, and more. Quality, value, and service are at the heart of everything we do. Benny Keith Foods puts the care back in healthcare.
Yeah, the residents, they want to help, but you have to screen them closely and make sure they have a plan. Right? So it's not just running into somebody in the hall because you never know what they're going to say. Say, okay, so make sure that you identify a few resident apartments that you can show, whether they're home or not, so that you got that on the tour and it's a plan for the tour.
Yeah.
Same thing if there's an activity happening, or maybe it's a day that a family says, I really am only available Tuesday at 10 o'clock, and you look at the calendar and it's not great. Lean on your ambassadors who are like, hey, this resident really loves bridge. I want to do a pop-up bridge game at 10 o'clock. So that's happening during the tour. They will do it for you. They get it. But you have to give them that purpose and tell them what to do.
Yeah, I think that's a little different than staging something, right? Because it's still an activity and the residents are engaged and they're doing something.
It's just not on the calendar.
Yeah, it shows your residents really like to be out and about. One thing that I think we have to be mindful of is when the corporate office is looking at, okay, what's the real value in that, right? We know inherently, our gut tells us there's a lot of value here and a lot of value can be taken from that. But are there any sort of specific metrics that a community should track when it comes to their programming to match it up with sales result? And what's the biggest missed opportunity there?
Sure. There's a ton of apps out there that communities have used for years as far as tracking attendance just to the normal activities with their residents. And that's something that you can tap into as far as the tracking of people coming to the other events. But really, it goes back to the ROI of it. If marketing is going to put some dollars behind it and it's going to be something that people are invited to, then people need to come to it.
Yeah.
But you have to market it. So that is a piece of that just because it's on the calendar, you still have to let people know that it's happening to get them in. So I think the biggest thing is just trying it. So looking at the calendar, you want at least one thing per week that you can invite people to. And if no one's coming to it, switch it up the next week. So maybe it's not a happy hour group, maybe it is an ice cream social. You're trying to invite people in. So just keep trying it and then track those numbers and make sure that you're not just doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, no, great advice. Well, Jocelyn, I appreciate you taking time away from the conference to visit with me. As we wrap up, when you think about doing all of this, leveraging activities to be part of the sales process and being successful with that, what would be maybe the one big aha that you would want people to take away and maybe get more engaged in this way of thinking?
Sure. I would say communication. It's so simple. But so many times the sales team does not know what the activities team is doing and vice versa. Sometimes they're planning events on the same day and it's just falling through the cracks and then everyone has to scramble. So communication, starting those weekly meetings, they can move to monthly after you get that communication going.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how sometimes each of the departments get so siloed in the day-to-day.
Yeah.
So start those meetings, get those teams together. There's a lot of friction sometimes that can happen when you've got big events, even when you're doing just a marketing event and not for residents. So you need your whole team to support. So just start those meetings and start that communication.
Perfect. Jocelyn, I appreciate you taking time. How can listeners learn more about the work you do and connect with you and stay abreast of all the work you're doing in this area?
Yeah. So I'm on LinkedIn. I live here in Savannah, Georgia. I traveled all over the last 19 years being in senior living. So just find me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to help out, let you know what services I might be able to offer or connect you with the right people.
Perfect. Jocelyn, thanks so much for joining me today on Tips from Trestle.
Thank you so much.
So there it is, everybody. Another one in the books. Thanks again for tuning in. Please follow and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And be sure to follow us on social media at Tips from Trestle. You can also learn more about the work I do by following me on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and even TikTok. And be sure to check out Trestle Hospitality Concepts at www.trestlehospitalityconcepts.com. I'm your host, Aaron Fish, and this has been another episode of Tips from Trestle.